Our test is going to be next week. And so our last chapter is going to be 16. So my goal today is to get through a little bit of 16. I will finish up with chapter 16 on Monday. On Wednesday will be a review day. That means I will take questions about anything concerning the test. So if you have questions about the test, the time to ask me would be on next Wednesday. So it's kind of a review session. So I will answer as many questions as you have. If you struggled with some of the homework or the quizzes, you can always send me the question ahead of time and say, hey, Dr. Walsh, I didn't understand this question. Can you please work it out during the session? If you don't want to speak, I won't say who sent it to me. I'll say a student sent me this question, and we'll work through it. If you want to speak and bring your questions here, write them in the chat, speak up. It doesn't matter to me. I'll answer them any way you have them. Usually if you send it over the email, I'll try to answer you via email, but I also will try to work it out so you can see the numbers being worked out a little easier, because sometimes you send me math questions and those aren't always easy to explain over email. Sometimes it's a little better to explain it when you see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover chapter 16. What chapter 16 is we are finally going to talk about money. We've spent all semester so far, the first 8 weeks, we really haven't talked about money. And why we haven't is because it's important, but not really. And we'll talk about what money is, what money isn't, what's the function of money, what are the kind of types of money, who's in charge of the money supply, and then how do banks create money? Yes, banks can create money. And then we're going to talk about who controls it, and that's going to be the Federal Reserve. So let's start with why we have money. Before there was money, people traded goods and services. And they did that through something called barter. Well, what is barter? By simple definition, barter is exchanging one good and service for another. So if we're bartering, is I am doing something for you and you're doing something for me and we're trading. This works if, well, as economists we refer there is a double coincidence of wants. And what do I mean by a double coincidence of wants? A double coincidence of wants means I want what you're supplying and you want what I am supplying. And with that, we can engage in barter. So barter can work, except the problem is it's inefficient. So the major problem with barter isn't that it won't necessarily work. It will work. It's just a very inefficient way to trade goods and services. Why? Because we have this huge time searching for others. So if I wanted to buy peppers, so if I wanted to buy green peppers, first I have to find someone selling green peppers. And second, whoever I find selling green peppers has to want to hear an economic lecture. So think about what would happen if we were engaged only in barter. Okay. The likelihood that Dr. Walsh would be starving all the time is probably high. So I'd have to find just the right person who has what I want and then wants what I'm offering. So barter becomes tricky and becomes inefficient because I spend a whole lot of time looking for the right person. So barter is a very inefficient way to do things. So how did we fix the barter problem? Well, that is with the creation of money. So what money only requires is something called a single coincidence of wants. If we assume everyone wants money. So if everyone wants money, then all I have to do is take my money and go and buy green peppers, which we do today. So what is money? Money are assets in an economy that people use to buy goods and services from other people. So something is money if it performs all three of these functions. So you can't be money if you don't perform all three. You can't be money if you're just a medium of exchange. You can't be money if you're just a unit of account. And you can't be money if you are just a store of value. You have to engage as money in all three. So when we think of money, at least in the United States, we think of currency, coins, and paper bills. So is that the only thing that is money? The answer to that is no. There are lots of things that are money. So let's kind of talk about that. So what do I mean by these functions of money? The first one is the most obvious. It's a medium of exchange. I give you money, you will take my money, and you will give me goods and services. So we talk about money as kind of, this first part is a medium of exchange, is acceptance, is I will accept your money. So in the United States, is a peso money? So if I asked you in the United States, if you had a Mexican peso, is it money? Some of you may argue no, and well, you could be correct because a peso isn't going to be accepted. I can't take my peso to Walmart and they're going to give me goods and services. So just because a peso is money in Mexico doesn't necessarily mean money in the United States, because the buyer and the seller won't necessarily engage in medium of exchange. So in order for something to be money, it has to be accepted, at least by a wide preponderance of people. The second part of money is it must be a unit of account. So when I go to the store posts all goods in dollars. So when I go to the store to buy something, it posts it in dollars. Why is it posted in dollars? Well, because I use that as a yardstick. So I look at my dollars and I know, oh, a dollar can buy a candy bar or a dollar can buy an apple. So the store doesn't put one apple equals a Snickers bar. They put an apple equals $1, which I know is equivalent to a Snickers bar. So we use money as kind of this yardstick. And it allows us to count things easily too. So I can count how many apples I sold. It's easy to count it in dollars rather than, well, I sold 10 apples today for 4 Snickers, 3 bananas, 2 oranges, and a bunch of grapes. That's hard to count. Instead, I said I sold an apple today. I sold 10 of them, so I have $10. That's easy to count. That's easy to transact in. So we use money kind of as this yardstick. It allows us to converse and count. And then finally, money can be a store of value. Does it have to be perfect? It just has to be a store of value. In fact, we know money is not perfect because we talk about inflation. But for the most part, money does have this store of value. As if I have money today, I can use it to buy things in the future. So for example, if I had a tomato, we cannot use tomatoes as money. Why can't I use tomatoes as money? Well, because tomatoes rot. So if I have a rotten tomato, nobody wants it. So there are some goods and services that can't be used as money because they rot or they go bad. So when we talk about things, they have to allow us to buy things in the future. So a lot of goods such as fruits and vegetables can never really be money because they don't last. They don't have longevity. So kind of quickly, what are kinds of monies? There are 2 kinds of monies. What we have commodity money and we have fiat money. So the easiest way to think about this is commodity money is money that has value somewhere else. So we would go through and we would talk about kinds of money. So we talk about cigarettes, gold coins. Today, in prisons, they no longer use cigarettes because cigarettes are kind of outlawed and they aren't used as much in prisons. Does anyone have any idea what they actually use kind of as money in prisons now?
Ramen.
Ramen, yes, things like that. They use ramen. Actually, in federal ones, they use mackerels. What the heck are mackerels? Most of you talk about sardines, so they come in cans. So they actually come 4 to a can. What they do is they trade cans of mackerels. So during this article, it talked about fish. Well, it's dried fish that has been preserved, so it lasts forever, and they can trade those mackerels. Sometimes you wonder why funny things are bought and sold in prisons, because they might be actually using it as money as they can't use US dollars. So they have to find other things to use as money because trade still occurs there. Just because we try to ban fiat money or dollars doesn't mean the money doesn't take advantage. It doesn't come into play. So we have things that we call intrinsic value. It can be used for something else. So gold coins can be melted down to make jewelry. Cigarettes can be smoked. Cans of mackerel can be eaten. Ramen can be eaten. We have this good and services that are function as money that can be used medium of exchange, store of value, unit of account. But it also has intrinsic value. A lot of money in the ancient times fell under this kind of money. We called it commodity money. Today, money doesn't have an intrinsic value. It's money because the government says so. So fiat money works only if the people believe in the government. Or the entity behind it. So we'll talk a little bit about this. So fiat money is money because people believe in it. A lot of fiat money right now, when we talk about, is the US dollar. So people have full faith in the government because it's money because the government says so. And we believe them, so hence the US dollar has value. It has value because we believe in the government, we believe about how much money they will print in a year. So it may not have a lot of value to each individual, but it does have value. So we call it fiat money. There's the rise of something, most of you probably are aware of it. It's called Bitcoin. Now, there's this discussion about Bitcoin. And well, is Bitcoin money? There are some arguments that it is and that it isn't. But as long as it's going to perform those 3 functions, a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value, it will be seen as money. Bitcoin does 2 and 3 very well. It can be used easily as a unit of account, and it's easily a store of value. The problem with Bitcoin is the first part, is the medium of exchange. Can I use it to buy goods and services? And as it starts to become more utilized there, it's going to start to become money. But it's not commodity money because Bitcoin doesn't have any intrinsic value. So Bitcoin, just like the US dollar, will be fiat money. But you're going to be believing in, I guess, kind of the entity behind Bitcoin. You're going to be believing in this blockchain technology to keep the value of money available, and that people are going to continue to believe in this idea. Now, whether that will continue or not, I don't know. Students ask me about that all the time. I don't know, but we can look at the definition of what money is, and we can see, is that going to be something we can use in the future? So finally, we're going to leave with one last thing about my favorite type of money. If we were in class, I show this a little more. I'm a little more excited. But students always ask me, what do I want for Christmas? Here it is. What I want for Christmas is I want this stone money that's used in what's called the island of Yap. It's a Pacific island, way out there in the middle of nowhere. And what they used to use for money is they use these big circular stones. There's a hole in the middle so I can carry it. And what it is that's how they used to transact for goods and services. So if you wanted to buy the groceries, that would be your money to go buy groceries. Except you wouldn't really buy groceries. You would go to the grocery store and say, now you can have my rock that's under the tree there. And that's how they traded with money. And they used different sized stones as different allocations of money. So if you're bored today and you have a little bit of time, go and look up the island of Yap. It's a real place. And that's what I want for money. Is I'd love to have little small versions to bring to and from class whenever we get back into the classroom. But that's my goal, is I want Yap money. And I don't necessarily want the giant one, but as I tell students, when you go out and you're a CEO and you want to give back to this university, and you're wondering what you can give back, okay? A big giant stone with money from Yap is what Dr. Walscheid wants for his class. So if you ever ask, that's what I want, is a big giant stone to bring to class so I can be a millionaire in Yap money. So we're going to leave with that. On Monday, we're going to finish up chapter 16. We're going to talk about Federal Reserve, and we're going to talk about how banks create money. And just a reminder, you have homework due tonight. I believe chapter 15 homework is due tonight, and 15A and B quizzes will be due on Friday. Make sure you do them ahead of time. Next Monday, we'll do chapter 16 chapter 16 homework. Quizzes 16A and 16B will be on Wednesday, and the test will be, if you noticed, I opened up the days from Tuesday to Friday. And so you have until Friday to take your test. And if there are no other questions, I will see you on